Awkward sibling hug?
Awkward sibling hug. Pat, pat.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of Awkward Sibling Hug. I'm your host Phineas.
And I'm Sarah.
And you're watching Awkward Sibling Hug, not the Disney Channel. Haha. Well, you're watching a rewatch podcast of a show on the Disney Channel, but, a little spicier,
Yeah. And you might be asking yourself, why should I be listening to this podcast? What do these two people have to offer someone else couldn't offer commentary-wise for Gravity Falls?
Yeah, what connection do we have with this show? And the answer is, we were there from the beginning.
We are some OG fans. We grew up with Gravity Falls. I know I did. I think I was the same age as Dipper and Mabel. I was about 12 when the show first came out.
When the show first came out, I was roughly 10 years old, so I was 2 years younger than them. And now I'm 9 years older than them, and it feels so weird.
I know.
But it's like, no. But so like, for a reference, because I feel like a lot of the people who've discovered Gravity Falls nowadays have like seen it through more of that, so the more modern social media. So you probably got those TikTokers who are like used to the show from TikTok, as those kids do. I don't use TikTok often, so
and I imagine pretty much all of the newer fans have probably binged the show from start to finish. And I mean, when we were watching it episode by episode. We had, the weekly schedule, and then we had those long hiatuses.
Oh my gosh.
And there was all of that theorizing online, and there was such a huge community of people trying to theorize and figure out what was going to happen next.
One of the craziest ones to me, right, wasn't there like a year and a half hiatus between Not What He Seems and Tale of Two Stands?
I don't think it was that long. I know the hiatus in between seasons 1 and 2, I think, was about 2 years.
2 years? I feel... Oh, hang on, I gotta look this up as well.
I might be wrong.
But it's like... Well, it's so weird because... You go.
I think season 1 aired between 2012 to 2013.
Right.
And then season 2, I believe, was 2015 to 2016.
Okay.
So it's about a 2-year gap.
So, actually, season 1 was June 15th, 2012, crazy timeline, and it ended in August 2nd, 2013. And then season 2 came out in August 1st, 2014, and ended on February 15th, 2016.
Okay, so that was just 1 year. It felt like 2.
It did.
Time.
It honestly did, though, like, with how everything played out and stuff with the gap. Because, like, and then, so there was a pretty big gap between Gideon Rises and Karaoke. And then I'm pretty sure, I'm just double checking with this. So Not What He Seems came out on March 9th, 2015. Oh, no, there's not too much of a... You're right, there's not too much of a gap there between Not What He Seems and
Just that it felt like it, because with those big cliffhangers, it felt like forever.
They still left people waiting for 4 months. Like, that's a long time to make someone wait for things.
I mean, it really gave people a chance to just sort of take it in.
Oh, here's one of the other really long ones. Weirdmageddon Part 2 came out November 23rd, 2015. And then Weirdmageddon 3, Take Back the Falls, was in February 2016. So it's like they aired 1 hour of content in 2016, but that's technically the year that they ended it. But so it's crazy just how some of these gaps like exist for the show, because Disney always sporadically aired it. I always like it was never like every week like some shows where they stretched it like crazy.
And in a weird way, I feel like that was kind of almost like it was very frustrating at the time. But it really did get people wired up for the next episode. Like, you wanted to be there because you had waited so long. At least I know for us, like, bigger fans, that was very much the case.
And so the thing for us was, so those years for me, 2016 I was in 8th grade, And then around by that point, and I was in like 6th grade, actually, like it was 5th grade to 8th grade for me, right? So it was I started the show at the age of 10, ended at the age of 14, so I outgrew Dipper and Mabel by the end of the show, which is hilarious to me.
I remember at the time joking that when I started watching Gravity Falls, I was Dipper and Mabel's age, and by the time I finished it, I was Wendy's age.
I think that's one of the funniest things about the whole thing and stuff when you think about it, and how they like worked that out for its viewers and stuff. Because the whole thing with like kids shows, and that part of the reason why like shows that aren't SpongeBob like never have any like length or longevity is because like of the idea that kids will outgrow everything that they like watch and stuff. That's the sad truth of things. But with Gravity Falls, I feel like people wind up growing up with the show a little more and stuff.
It's very much it's you can watch it at any age. Like it's a kids show, but it's it's entertaining for literally anyone.
Well, and that's the whole thing about it and stuff too, because it's like you compare it to a lot of its brethren, right? Other shows from around the same era, and it's just there's nothing really like it. Like I think what was the objective like started of the new like age of animation that came there was like Adventure Time really pushed things forward. I think Gravity Falls is right there with it. Like I thought Gravity Falls like told like one of the most concise stories ever made, right? And the thing is, like, a lot of the shows that were episodic or that were serialized at the time were like 11 minutes in length and stuff, while this show's got a full 22 minutes for every episode.
Yeah, they really did. Gravity Falls was very good at they didn't waste their time.
No, they didn't. It's a short show.
They tell a really big story.
Sorry. Yeah, no, and the thing that I realized, because I don't think I've ever, like, fully watched the show since it came out. I've not done that for, like, a lot of the childhood shows that I watched. But going through with this podcast, right, we had this idea, because it's, like, we've been friends since, like, was it 2015 or 2014 more?
Something like that, yeah. Sometime during the hiatus, I think in between seasons 1 and 2, because that's when we were both making YouTube videos about Gravity Falls, which was going to be my other point. Why are we talking about this show? Because that was how we met. Was we were both making videos about Gravity Falls, and we kind of formed this really like niche community.
It's really interesting because it's like. My friendship with you and my friendship with like one other person, the only 2 friendships of mine from that era like survived, which is funny when you think about it.
Yeah, but it's very odd.
It was very unique and stuff within that whole live stream thing. Like I still remember in like 7th grade, my way that I decided to befriend you guys was making everyone in y'all's group a wiki, and that somehow worked, which is so funny to me. So guys, if you ever want a content creator to become friends with you, make a wiki for them. And then you'll be like, hey, I'm the guy who made your wiki. It works, I promise.
That was so funny. Yeah, because to elaborate on this, we were in this sort of larger group of people who also made YouTube videos. I'm not sure. The other people in the group are hard to track down. I remember the sort of like I guess ringleader, for lack of a better word,
more so, yeah.
Universal News Show, who his stuff is all gone now. His channel's been deleted, unfortunately, but ours are still both up. I know my page is just sort of a hodgepodge of like my Gravity Falls videos and then various school projects I've made since then.
See, for me, my whole channel, that channel got archived. Like I stopped doing stuff right in like sophomore year. That was the end of my original channel, Entertainment Lord. But I've like done YouTube in other communities since then. Like I've gotten more into the whole video essay thing, and it's been like I'm the kind of person where it's like I think one of the ongoing jokes for me is like I'm that kind of person who will be like, oh, I know this person randomly. So it's like I find my places around like a little bit of everywhere on the internet, which is really cool. So I've never left the internet. But it's like I've gone on. We're both in film school. in different places. So our time making YouTube videos, I guess, deeply affected both of us.
I would definitely say so. I think for me, I know it took me a hot minute to really sort of come around on the realization that like film school was something I wanted to do, and YouTube was definitely just my way of expressing that. I think that desire to to tell my own stories, and at a time when I didn't feel confident enough to do that, I could at least celebrate other people's stories and make
Yeah.
something around that.
And I think there's a wonder to it where it's like, I feel like YouTube is a great starting place for any creative of any type. So it's like, where else can you make your own content so open sourced? And it's really fantastic like that. But alas, the summer of YouTube does, or it's weird, right? So it's like summer. I'm trying to transition to talking about the episode. I'm gonna master this art eventually.
Yeah, we should probably should probably talk about Tourist Trapped. Yeah.
Yeah, we should get a little Tourist Trap, shouldn't we?
Yes, the very first episode of Gravity Falls. We just got done watching it.
Heck yeah.
And I mean,
it's so classic. Oh my gosh.
It's such a good pilot episode. I feel like that's just what everybody always says about the first episode of Gravity. It's just kind of like the perfect pilot. It's so well established as everything it needs to establish, from just the tone of the show, the style of humor, all of the like main characters.
At least something.
The main conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, the cliffhanger at the end just so well establishes like the big, like there's an overarching mystery going on in this show, and they just establish it.
And I think that's something that's really good that it gets done so early. Like, there's a lot of pilots where it's like, you'll watch it and you'll be like, it's weird getting into this show and stuff. Like, I think it takes a lot longer for me to get like into other shows, but like Gravity Falls is one of those weird shows where it knew what it was from the very beginning, and it got going on what it was pretty immediately after that. And the impressive thing within like knowing where you're going in this weird world of like TV, I guess, is like you gotta have these toys all set up in your pilot so you A, get picked up by a network, or in this case Disney, and B, so it's like you can hook in enough viewers that they start sticking around. And I feel like Gravity Falls, it was definitely a show that benefited from its like from its breaks that happened pretty frequently. You'd agree with that, right?
Yeah, I think the show definitely having that breathing room, I think, first of all, for the audience was, really nice, because then you had that time to sort of let things sink in, and you had time to like think about it and theorize and get excited with other people. But then I think it was also nice that they were giving themselves the time to really work on it.
Yeah.
And hammer out the details, and just, it was never rushed. It was definitely never rushed.
Oh no. And it's like and in this world where it's like we've seen so many companies just turn getting things made as fast as humanly possible, it's really great for a show to like, try to push things and take it more slow and like respect its artists.
Yeah, it is definitely, especially now, it is so tempting to have everything just like, the whole like Amazon overnight delivery type of thing where you just want everything instantly. But there is just something really nice about a show like Gravity Falls, where it takes its time, and yet it's also, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's 40 episodes long.
Yeah.
And it tells exactly the story it wants to tell. Nothing more, nothing less.
And the other thing too, right, is when you think about it, 2012 in this era was like right in the middle of two eras of TV. So when Gravity Falls first came out, The Office was still on TV airing new episodes, which is weird to think about, that the two shows intersected for a little bit. But like when you look at that even further as how it progressed, right, it's like not many shows like in this like weird niche, right, before streaming was the big thing for everything. Because nowadays, Gravity Falls would have been released in bulk, which I think would have killed a lot of the theory. Random yawn. Sorry. Random sibling yawn. But if it was released in bulk for like binge viewing, it would have killed so much of the theorizing the show was like known for.
I mean, that was like half the appeal back in the day. That was such a. It really makes me sad to think that there's a lot of people who just aren't going to have that experience of getting to like uncover the secret, like hidden messages, genuine hidden messages that are in the show, and just
Right.
decoding it and just getting to talk with other people about it and getting those wheels spinning. There's something really satisfying about that. As
Oh
a person
yeah.
who apparently has an inner conspiracy theorist, I didn't realize until I saw this show, but I was like, oh yeah, oh, this has done something to my brain,
Well,
something irreversible.
and like I don't think I saw it from the very first episode where it was immediately like doing these like new things where it was like pushing where people were pushing these theories along. Again, I was 10 when I came out. I was not on the internet in the way that I am now, or and for good reason. Like who lets a 10-year-old online? Gosh darn it. Um,
Yeah.
But so the other thing within it and stuff, right, is like I've always just been really attached to the show, right? Like when it came out, we were moving towns 15 minutes away from where I used to live. And I was moving towns. I was staying up north at my grandparents' camp actually the very weekend that the show came out. And that was really cool for a little bit, you know? Kind of felt in character, I guess. But yeah, who do you have like favorite? Do you have a favorite character in the cast? Because for me, it's always really hard to think about it because I love all of them.
I can't say that I do.
I think for the pilot, right? Like Stan, Susan, and Wendy don't have too much apiece. Like Wendy doesn't get anything to do, but that doesn't change throughout the show too much.
Yeah, she gets one line in the pilot, and that's pretty indicative of the level of dedication they give her character.
She's clearly the main character who's probably more of a supporting character, but Linda Cardellini's cool, so we'll take her. But so
she really does bring a lot to that character.
Honestly, though, like she's got such a unique voice, and she had this like run. I forget. Didn't she also? I know she was on Regular Show. She was on this. She just voice acts a lot, and it's rather impressive, to be honest.
She does. She's always in more things than I expect her to be. It's very. I remember once during the YouTube era, somebody commented under one of my videos and said that they thought my voice sounded really similar to Wendy's. And
That's
I think
funny.
about that sometimes. I was like, that's such a nice compliment. Like, thank you. That's a lovely comparison.
Honestly, yeah. I don't think your voice sounds too much like hers, but I get it. Your voice is very lovely.
Maybe when I was like 14. Maybe back then when I had.
Dude, when I was 10 and make my videos, right, my voice was so high, squeaky and stuff. And like, I still think that I talk at a relatively higher octave for like a grown man, you know? But it's like, back when I was a little kid, I was a very child, let's just say that. In the fun way though. But so it's like, no, it's one of those things where it's like YouTubers get the weirdest comments like ever, always. Like I got a comment once on a podcast I did with another friend who compared my voice to Jeremy Shada or Finn from Adventure Time. I know, random.
You know what? Yeah, I can kind of see it a little bit. I get what they're saying.
Yeah, it's just a.
I wonder if it's one of those things.
You go.
I don't feel like somebody would make that comparison out of pocket, but when they're watching your videos about cartoons,
right,
that might be the first connection that they make. I guess that kind of makes sense.
Right. No, and I think it's just funny when you think about like how things happen and stuff. Like even in the little content creation sphere, like I never got past the whole like hundreds stuff. I got to like early hundreds for like my stuff. You got to like 2.5K. What was the peak of the Oh My Nerd subscriber base?
Like 3K.
That's still
at one
so
point.
cool.
It's
yeah.
down to like 2,400 now. Every time I upload, I lose subscribers because it's like I show up in their sub box and they're reminded, oh, I'm still subscribed to this girl.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like we have not talked a lot about the actual episode.
No, we haven't. I think that's gonna be a theme for this podcast. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. We both got ADHD real bad. The conversation's gonna go off topic.
And the whole thing,
all the time.
The whole thing is, I think the whole thing of the project is it's talking. I think it's as much about the show as much as it is like reminiscing on that like era and like getting to hang out in a video content, because it's like I think you and I collabed with you more than anyone else from that group, I think, because we did some live streams on our own and stuff, and you actually also were in the Steven Universe fandom too when that was a thing. Meanwhile, most of them were like moving past that at this point.
Yeah, we always meshed really well, and I think too because Steven Universe was very sort of the show I jumped onto emotionally a little bit after Gravity Falls ended.
Right.
Steven Universe was such a comforting show for me. It was just so...
It's amazing.
That got me through high school, man.
It's gonna be one of the next shows. Like, I think the fun thing with this podcast, right, is it's like after Awkward Sibling Hug is gonna remain the name. It's perfect. But it's like past that, we're probably gonna watch it and talk about other shows and stuff too, as things go on and stuff, because it's like worth it to just do. Watching things with friends is so nice.
It's so fun. It's such a there are two things I love doing. Making things and watching things.
Right.
And when you get to do both at once, that's just great. That's just delightful. I'm on board.
Yeah, no. Well, so and other things with it, like it's like nice getting to make content based on other shows and stuff. Like Gravity Falls is such a show to dissect. I think the first episode's so funny because like I think the gnome twist is one of the funniest things too. Like just for that to be the first big twist of your show.
I know, and it's such a good first twist too because it really showcases how Gravity Falls is really, really good. It has the silliest sense of humor. But it also
the coolest
it can be genuinely scary.
Yeah. Well, that like entire golf cart chase. Know. I think it is so funny the interactions with both Wendy and Zeus when Dipper's getting on the golf cart, where he literally gives him a baseball in case there's a pinata, and then Wendy like literally he's like yo I need to save my sister from zombies, but way less chill because Dipper is never chilled out. And she just gives him the keys.
Try not to break anything.
I know.
It's just one line, and it sets up her character so well as just being like the chillest, coolest teenage like girl character.
Yeah.
Just with one line.
There's that. There's everything that's set up with the Dipper Mabel relationship, because this episode like emphasizes them playing off each other so much and stuff, right? It's like all eyes are on them, and how they interact and how protective and how much they love each other, but they'll still like mess with each other. Like that's siblings, you know?
It really is, and it's the heart of the show. Their relationship is the heart of the show, and it's really at the end of the day at the heart of every conflict in the show is their relationship, that sibling relationship that they have.
Now, I'll say this right now. I remember when the show was coming out, how some people did not like Mabel and thought she was like super selfish. But it's like, I am a Mabel defender.
Those people are wrong.
Right, she is a child. Excuse you.
She's a hyperactive 12-year-old girl.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
With undiagnosed ADHD.
Like, I totally understand. I understand why some of those like personality traits would be frustrating for some people. But even the insinuation that she is somehow like a bad person or a bad character, when it's like these are reasonable flaws.
I think
these are reasonable character flaws, especially for a preteen girl.
Right.
As someone who was once a preteen girl, this is not unreasonable.
As someone who is never a preteen girl, I agree that I agree with you. But like
so we've got a
the two perspectives was a preteen girl and then wasn't a preteen girl. There you go. Bam.
Very well-rounded perspective.
Honestly, I couldn't agree more. But like the other things within the see, oh gosh, I'm trying to think because there's just so much that like works. Oh yeah. So the thing with the fandom that was so weird, I thought, was Mabel got demonized worse than like some of the villains in the show to the fandom, which is like crazy to me because it's like you've got characters like Bill, who's a Tumblr sexy man, and then you've got like Mabel, who gets just so much flack for like every decision she makes, and she's such a great character. They're all so amazing. I love this cast. Oh my gosh.
So good. See that. The thing with Mabel really frustrates me because it's like, she has no more or less flaws than any other character.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just even look at Dipper. Like, the main argument with Mabel is that she's selfish and she's self-centered. That's true. But so is Dipper in his own way. She's more self-centered emotionally and he's self-centered, like, intellectually.
Right.
Very absorbed in his, like, mysteries and overthinking. And that's sort of what makes their dynamic work. And so I find it really interesting when people get more upset about Mabel and her version of that than they do with Dipper's. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't want to throw out the misogyny card. However,
no, it's safe to
I do find it notable. She's kind of the only main female character.
Right.
You know?
And the other thing with Gravity Falls, right, is I love the show, but it was definitely the fandom, especially like the little pocket that we were in, was like, it was mainly guys in there.
Yeah, it was a weird boys club.
Yeah, it's that, dude, that was a fun saga. That was a fun few years saga.
I can kind of understand why this show would attract a more male audience, why that would be a thing.
Right.
I also feel like
you go?
It's either you've got like the boys, the conspiracy boys, or you've got a lot of queer people. I think are really into Gravity Falls.
Oh, totally, yeah. But
those seem to be the two big demographics.
Yeah. But also, so okay, going into the episode, what do you think about the I'm trying to think of do you have like a favorite joke from the episode, by the way?
Oh gosh. I mean the part where what's the name of the head gnome? What's his name?
Jeff?
Is he just Norman? Jeff. Jeff the gnome. Yeah. When he's like going on his like threatening rant, he's like, "We are a powerful race. We will destroy you. Don't trifle with that." And then Dipper just in the middle of this speech just takes out his shovel and just
I know.
Tosses him. Tosses him away, and he goes shrieking. It's so funny. The timing is just so perfect. And I love that part so much.
And that's the thing, honestly. Alex Hirsch's timing comedically is genius and like everything that he's written and stuff. And he benefits so much because like you'll find out if you first of all, by the way, I'm assuming that everyone who's listening to this podcast has probably watched the show because spoilers, like we should have probably had a spoiler warning at the start, shouldn't we have?
You know, but also, hi, if you're new to this show, welcome.
Yeah, hello.
If you don't know what we're talking about, glad to have you here anyway.
Exactly.
This will be nonsense to you, but you know, glad you're here.
Yeah, but like I feel like within the show, it's like there's just so much going on and stuff within every episode. And it's rather impressive. It's just like this one's just a great introduction to the whole thing. The jokes really work. Every character gets their moment, and it's like, and we're not even at the point where we get to actually meet the rest of the town, which are even more wacky characters because there's just so much that goes on in this show. But yeah.
Yeah, such a host of side characters that we haven't even met yet.
It's
and
crazy.
Yet I still feel like I have a really strong grasp of what this show is and what it's about.
Oh, totally.
Immediately.
Yeah.
You know what I really love about this podcast?
What?
About this project is just Gravity Falls is so, I mean, it's a fun show to talk about because of the mysteries. It's also a fun show to talk about because I literally cannot think of a bad episode of Gravity Falls.
Honestly,
like,
yeah.
It's all just like, if I had to pick out the worst episode of Gravity Falls, it would be like this one is less of a masterpiece than the other 39.
Right.
Therefore, it's at the bottom of my list. Like, literally, this is just 40 episodes of us singing this show's praises.
Well, it's
singing
like,
Alex Hirsch's praises.
Honestly, though, because it's like every episode I think is handled like so well, and like there's ones that I'm not the biggest fan of. I think we'll come to those. Like I remember I didn't really like Dipper vs. Maleness growing up. I never. There's definitely episodes that I'm not too fond of, but I love the majority of the show and stuff. And it's like I don't think we're gonna find it. I think because it's like it's been a long time, so my tastes have changed, and I doubt we'll find like a fully bad episode. But yeah. So, we are 30 minutes into this podcast so far, by the way. Thank you, everyone, for listening so far. Don't you have a little segment?
That's right. Sarah's Fun Fact Corner.
We need to get a theme song for that at some point.
Me too. I want to get a fun little soundbite, a little, like...
I will totally upload it to the Discord server so we can play it whenever it comes. Yeah.
Oh, can't wait. Okay. Well, this is the underdeveloped version of Sarah's Fun Fact Corner.
Ooh, spicy.
I have a trivia question for you, Phineas.
Yes.
So, Tourist Trapped is the first episode of Gravity Falls. However, it is not the first episode that was produced.
Right.
What was the number that this episode was produced in?
Okay.
Do you know? Take a guess.
I'm gonna guess because I did look at this a little bit ago. Not before 7 maybe?
You're actually correct. Yes.
Okay,
this was the 7th episode they produced.
I remember that correct. Well, it's like, that makes sense. You gotta take a little bit of time to make your magnum opus to open the whole thing.
Yeah. You know, I really feel like that's probably why this episode feels so, like, cohesive and like it really has a strong grasp on the world, because they've had 6 episodes prior to this to really like gain their footing.
Right.
So yeah, it makes sense that this came out so fully formed.
Well, and that's the whole thing when it comes down to writing and stuff, because it's like you never fully perfect a character if it's your first time writing for them, but it's like the more you like write for a character, the more you pick about who their mannerisms are and stuff. And that's just something, it's pretty important. But yeah, no. Well, do you have any other major thoughts that you want to talk about on the episode?
I do not.
Okay.
Well, that closes out Sarah's Fun Fact Corner.
Yeah.
First of all.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes.
This is a very unscripted podcast, by the way, as you can tell, probably.
We did minimal pre-production on this.
We made the thumbnail, we watched the episode, and we vibed.
We vibed. I found a trivia question by watching the audio commentary on the DVD.
Nice. Dude, audio commentary is such a lost art, I feel like sometimes, because it's like streaming services never have audio commentary for their movies, and it's so fascinating as a film student to just see what the director had going through their mind.
I know, and just behind the scenes content with the Gravity Falls box set, there's an entire disc that's just bonus features, and it's just so wonderful. And then every single episode has an audio commentary, every single one. Like they really went all out for the DVD release, and I'm so grateful for that. As somebody who collects DVDs and Blu-rays and CDs and like physical media, I just appreciate that so much. I have a whole thing about streaming services and the death of home media, physical home media.
And how they just take things off.
Yeah, like Hulu was doing that recently.
My
god, there was. Oh, I'm so pissed. They removed this. I don't know if it was a sitcom necessarily, but they removed this comedy show I really liked. I'm mad about it.
Yeah.
So mad because now I don't know how else I can watch it. If it's not. It was a Hulu original, and now it's just gone. You
can pull on Our Flag Means Death and go the way of the pirates. Not that I'm encouraging. Yeah.
No, but one could argue that Hulu is in fact forcing our hand in that regard.
I'm a believer that like media preservation trumps all, really, when you look at it, where it's like, if you make a piece of media that was available unavailable, everyone should be able to pirate that. You should have no reason not to, because it's like, it makes more sense to keep it in the circulation if you're not even trying to make money on it. But yeah,
exactly, like you're not even trying to profit off of it anymore, and it's like, I just if you're gonna remove it from your service, and if you're not gonna release it on DVD,
well,
then
heck you.
What else are we supposed to do but watch
Yeah.
a shitty, grainy version of it on YouTube or
Exactly.
Vimeo or whatever? Like,
no, absolutely.
what else are we meant to do? Oh,
Yeah.
God. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. This is why I collect DVDs, is because I'm so paranoid about, like, I have a small collection of, like, those for your consideration, like, when streaming services are submitting their stuff for consideration at, like, the Emmys and the Oscars and whatnot. They'll send out, like, DVD screeners to the Oscar voters, the Emmy voters. And sometimes, even though they're not supposed to, they will sell those screeners on certain places on the internet. And I have bought some of them because it's like, if Netflix removes Black Mirror, no one else is going to be able to watch it, but I will, because I bought the For Your Consideration DVD on fucking eBay.
Yeah.
You can't take it from me. Are we swearing on this show? I'm sorry. I just swore.
I don't swear myself, but it's like, I view it as, it's something where it's like, you said it late enough into the video, I don't mind too much. And plus, swearing is like the least, I don't swear at all, but it's like, I think it's fine. Yeah. Okay,
I do, because we are talking about technically a kids show, so I don't want to.
Oh yeah, but
that just that I got.
Well, the way, and so let me bring you viewers in on a bit of how this sausage gets made, right? A bit of a thing with this show too. I think of it as much more. It's a podcast that feels a lot more towards those who've grown up, those who either grew up watching it with us, or those who like went and finished and stuff. Little kids, okay, if you are on YouTube, right, you've probably heard all the words that Sarah says before.
If you've made your way down the YouTube list and you have found us, you've probably already seen some things.
And also, don't worry, you could probably just hear it from your parents. So, there. No, I don't swear myself, but it's like my stance is pretty loose on it. It's just chill and vibing. But I think, with all this said, I think that's the wrap for the first episode. Thank y'all for watching.
I think so.
Awkward Sibling Hug. Bye!
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being Gravity Falls nerds along with us.
You're awesome. I'm proud of you.
Awkward Sibling Hug.
See you.
Sibling hug. Pat, pat.
See ya.